the knight who seals the darkness, the 4 champions, and you, of course. I'm positive. We can turn back the... Would you stop making a nuisance of yourself? Unlike you, the princess is extremely busy. Hey! Oh, I see. Our friend believes itself to be a knight as well, in service of the princess. Princess Zelda. Why not? Let's go take a break somewhere. I've gotten really... suddenly I'm really hungry. We're all right because of you, Princess. Your keen senses saved us.
Well, really, it was thanks to your strength.
Now you listen to me.
Okay.
You said that you are the only one who can't live up to your potential. But that's completely untrue. I mean, you saved all of us just now. All of your effort, your research, is not in vain, Princess. Steel yourself. I am ready. It's time.
Just like hanging with a few of your friends, talking games, cartoons, and all the trends. From voice actors to game masters, they got guests to talk about matters of fun. So run and tune into them. They can't be outdone, yeah, they number one. It's the...
I always love that intro. I want to dance, but I won't. So what's going on, everybody? This is Gamerz Realm episode 75. This is it's crazy, but it's a great milestone, and we're gonna keep on going from there. But let's start it off. And my name is CHRONOZ, and we got Hot Pink for the names, and we got Ryan DRAYSON as co-host.
Hey, how's it going?
And we have our special guest who's played roles in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Age of Calamity, and anything from hedgehogs to Shaq Fu. I've seen that. And either way, we have ourselves Andi Gibson.
Hi, all.
How are you?
Good. Happy to be here in my dining room.
In your dining room, yes. I'm glad to have you here. It's exciting because a lot of us, especially like myself and Ryan, we grew pretty much in with the game. We've enjoyed the game. We've been watching, especially like Zelda of the Wild, Age of Calamity, and we were like trying to find out more about the people behind the game itself, you know, the voices and things like that. So it's exciting to have you here today. So we can start off with the first big question and start off with some history of how everything began with your voice acting. How did everything come to that point, and you know, your voice acting career?
Well, I started way back when as an actress, actually at 2 years old in music videos on MTV when MTV was just starting. Really. And it's the Gypsy music video for Fleetwood Mac was my very first video, and I was I think I was 2.5. So I started with that, and then did those for a few years, and ended up in the recording studio singing something that was going to be on an animated show. It was the theme song for the show, and then they asked me to be the lead character, and it never happened, and that kind of put voiceover in the back of my mind for the very first time at age 7. Then I continued on doing theater and more singing and choir and all that jazz, no pun intended, and musical theater and stuff. And finally got officially into voiceover about 8 or 9 years ago when a show I was doing regularly at the Disney park down in Anaheim got canceled, and I was like, okay, let's actually do this and try this voiceover thing for real. So I started in commercials actually, and I still do commercials, but video games popped off, and once I became part of the Zelda family, then things just started going a little crazy. But it's fun. I'm doing these interviews and hoping for cons and doing more games and all kinds of other things that I can't talk about.
I know. Well, I was trying to get that secret you had going on in Instagram. I was like, oh,
you should know better. We can't tell you anything.
That's what you said. I was like, I tried to catch you off guard if I could, but no, it didn't work.
No, that doesn't work. It's hard to do that on social media because you're just typing.
So a lot of it came from, just starting off in the beginning as a child and now into some big game names and it's just, and then, going to cons, and so from there on, this is what's going on now. Anything to look forward to? Are you working on, you are working on something that you couldn't say yet. Of course, we got on that one. Any other big projects coming up? You got things happening that you could say, or if you can't?
I just booked a series of radio commercials, which again is another character that you wouldn't recognize. I think it's going to be in an AM station, and it's one of these. It's like a smaller HVAC company, and they're just going to keep having me be the mother of the HVAC company, kind of razzing him every time he's on the radio trying to sell his product. She's in the background saying something, and that will hopefully go for a very long time. They wanted to do like 12 spots through the year. And I just spoke with them and they're like, well, this is just going to go until the radio commercials don't work anymore. So hopefully that will be a very long time. But my first session for that should be next week. So that'll be fun.
Awesome.
I've never done a long-term radio campaign like that. So that would be, and to be a character, in commercials, I've been able to be characters in commercials more because I do the accents and the dialects. But otherwise, you're really just a normal person. When I get to do an accent, I'm still a normal person, but for me, it's more of a character. So that's fun. It makes it a little more exciting.
Cool,
and that's
cool.
all I can say. I've got a couple other video games in the works. I have no idea when they'll be dropped, and that's all I can say about that. But I'm glad that the COVID read is gone and things are getting back to normal, because I did not book anything at all during last year. 2020. Not a lovely year for me.
Yeah, it was a tough year last year for, especially a lot of the had a lot of voice actors before from the Zelda series, and it's tough, with COVID and how things were, and you guys got to do things at home, or some people would go in their closets and close their closets and get in there, just try different ways of doing things until now things are starting to get back on track, and you can go to the studio, do it at home or whatever you want to do. So it's pretty cool, that you guys are getting back.
They asked me to have to go to work, but we had and I guess like, oh,
Andy, and give me 1 second. It looks like on your end, you kind of froze a little bit. Let's give it a second. I don't know if it's like Ryan, you're good. Ryan, move, okay? And I think it's Andy's part. Can you say something, Andy? Okay, I think it's on your end. Let's give it one.
Seems to be good.
Yeah, it looks like we can hear you.
Smooth,
We can hear you, Andy.
The movement's
We can hear
smooth
you.
there.
Lost a little volume for a second. No, yeah, on my end's good.
It's my energy likes to break electronic stuff.
You're coming
Yeah,
back.
like electronics is always kind of like a pain in the butt. Or try to say something again, Andy. Sorry.
Hello. And
There
this
you
is
go.
a one. I tried to mix it up and sit in the dining room and have a different backdrop, and maybe that's part of the problem because I moved.
You're doing good. You got
Yeah,
your
you're
back.
good now.
So
Okay, hopefully that doesn't happen again. I have no control over it, apparently.
you have to go next to the cat. Go next to the cat.
Right? He's good luck. He's over here chilling.
Ryan, do you want to go ahead and start off with some of your questions right away?
Yeah, so I'll kick off with basically tell us about what your experience recording is like. So specifically, I'm thinking, like, I'm a huge Zelda fan, so I'm thinking of like on Breath of the Wild, Age of Calamity, those sorts of experiences. In particular, can you tell us, like, did you ever actually have sessions where there were the other members of the voice cast present, or was it relatively a solo experience? Did you maybe kind of cross paths in the hall? And then otherwise, like, any kind of interesting stories about just a general voice acting recording experience that you can tell us?
I did not meet anybody in the cast for either game.
Wow.
So I only did one con for Breath of the Wild, which is in Salt Lake City, Utah. And that was the first time that we were all together. I think Amelia was missing.
Amelia.
Maybe on, but we had most of the cast there. And it was a smaller con, I guess. The rest of the cast that had done a lot of the bigger cons were like, this isn't the norm of how cons normally go. Because Salt Lake City is kind of small, I guess. I don't know. Okay. So anyways, I had fun, but they were like, oh, cons are totally different than this normally. But that's the only one I've ever been to. But anyway, that's when I met most of them in person, because I didn't know any of them. I just was all by myself. And a couple times I'd go in, and like the first time I went in and was doing Impa, I didn't realize that I was matching lip flaps. But they just don't.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't realize, okay, we're dubbing from the Japanese that's already done. And little old Impa was just there on the screen. And I was like, oh, that's me. I'm going to be her. It's just kind of, you have to be on your toes, because as soon as you get in the booth is when you get all of the information at once.
Yeah.
And then, I know a lot of the Breath of the Wild cast has done some different DLCs and the Hyrule Warriors and whatnot. So I was really excited to be a part of Age of Calamity, because I, as Impa, wasn't a part of any of those others.
Right.
Then all I knew is that, what did they say to me? That I was coming in to do a legacy character for Nintendo. And the only one I had done previously was Impa. So I was like, okay. So I dusted off my old audition and listened to her and made sure I was good, listened to the cutscenes and reacquainted myself with her sound. Mm-hmm. And then I got into the booth, and she was there, and I was like, oh, we're creating a new person today, because she's obviously not going to sound the same as she does when she's 112 years old. Yeah. So that was fun. And it, it's such a different style of game. We were working with a different director and stuff too. So, getting those juices flowing and working together to find the sound for that character. And then I babble, you guys. I'm sorry. I'll just go blah, 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 blah. So you had a second part of that question.
By all means, keep on going. We're always interested to know.
We're here to hear from you. So by all means, expand.
Blab all you want.
Give us some good storytelling. Yeah, we like it.
Thanks, guys.
The second part was basically just like kind of obviously from your work that we already know about, that's already out and available for us to consume. But what can you tell us in terms of like stories about your experiences just doing voice acting in general? Like give us sort of a verbal picture of what that process and experience is like, if you can.
Well, the first one that pops to mind is the Shaq Fu Legend Reborn. I played all 3 of the female villains, and you know they're supposed to be parodies of pop icons, but the names had to be changed because legal was getting in a fight.
Yeah.
Those pop, like their PR people were like, no, you cannot use the name and all that stuff. So there was that situation, and then you know, it got delayed, the developing got delayed and all this stuff. And I was like, is this gonna happen? So finally it happened, and I recorded all that stuff from home. And that was the first time I was doing anything video game related from home as opposed to professional studio. And there was one whole character that I had to go back and re-record for them because my audio was clipping because I was too loud. Because animated type of characters, you know, are very different than what I'm doing in my booth most of the time is commercially. So you're just talking normally. You're not taco, you know, and screaming and fighting and all that stuff. Pin this baby bear or whatever his name was, the little dog. So I had to go. I was so embarrassed. And they were like, no, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. So they trusted me at least to go back and do the re-record of that character without direction because we had already worked on that. So that was kind of embarrassing. And then it still got pushed coming out. And then they didn't put my name in the credits.
What?
With some issue at the end, my name and Jason Lanier White, who's a dear friend of mine, and a couple other voice actors did not get credited for our work in the end. And so we're like, oh, are they going to patch it in? Like, yeah. I don't know if they ever did actually do that patch, but I was in touch with one of the voice actors who was in charge of making sure everything was correct on the IMDb page. So he was like, well, I'm going to make sure that you guys are all set on here. So, and then it just, I wish it had done better because I had so much fun and I loved being able to be villains in that game.
It's different. It's a lot different than playing games.
It really was, yeah. And just, it was so fun and tongue-in-cheek and, you know, we're just wrong in many ways. But I thought that's what made it fun.
Awesome.
We got a quick question from Retro Styles. It might be something that you kind of already... What made you interested in voice acting?
Well, Retro Styles, I sound like this. And I've been getting my whole life that I should get into voiceover. I do a lot of character voices and accents and stuff, you know, and have my whole life just like as part of my quirky personality. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have actor friends that do the same thing. But, you know, it just kind of, I had that first experience when I was young and it just kind of stuck in my head. And after getting more and more comfortable in the booth from session singing, I was like, you know, and getting more opportunities, getting closer to the voiceover world with friends who were actually doing it. I was like, okay, I think I should really try to do this correctly. Because I think I had made, like, excuse my French, a half-assed demo years ago and gave it to Roger Bumpus, who is Squidward on SpongeBob. And I had no idea what I was doing, handed it to him. He said he'd be happy to send it to his agent, who was William Morris. And I had no idea what I was doing. I never should have handed him that because, of course, that did not happen because I was unawares of the world of voiceover. But I mean, what a great opportunity. And I totally screwed that up. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question. I just talk into a person.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So sort of, I guess, related to when you said that you really enjoyed doing the Shaq Fu villains. What are some sort of standout like specific moments, scenes, or like lines from characters that you've done that you really love doing?
Oh, I have to say, and I mean, some of you guys have maybe heard this story already, but I love it. So I have to say the writing efforts with, am I going weird again? Because I'm hearing echo all of a sudden.
I think you're still good right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds good here.
Fighting efforts that I got to do with young Impa for Age of Calamity, because it was one of my things in auditions that I always felt so awkward doing at home in my own booth. We get auditions like 6 fighting efforts like you're punching someone, and then 6 fighting efforts like you're taking a hit. And I'm like, I've never been in a fight. I don't know what, like, I took karate when I was little, but that was like, and I was terrible at sparring. I was really good at push-ups, though. If I could be that good at push-ups again, that would be awesome. But, I was like, I have no frame of reference here. And then it'll say weird stuff like your hand catches on fire, and then your whole arm, and then your whole body, and you have to scream in agony. We want that to last about 3 minutes for an audition. And you're at home by yourself. And I just, every time I do those, I feel like a big derp, just a huge derp. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just going to scream bloody murder, and the neighbors are all going to be freaked out, and I'm sending it off. So when I got in the booth working with Jeremy Hall, who does that kind of stuff all the time, we had all these different fighting efforts, and some of them had to, because we're still matching the Japanese, so some of them had to be 0.01 second. And he was like, we get in there and we do them, and he's like, man, you are really good at these. You're nailing this timing. And I was like, what did you just say? Did you just say I was really good at the fighting efforts? And I told him like how awkward I've always felt. And he goes, no, honestly, you're doing a really good job. I've been doing games like this for 15 years. And I was like, I'm going to keep that in my back pocket because I will need that come some other audition when it's awkward, you're beating someone over the head with a lead pipe. Go. Yeah. So I was like, oh, yay. So that, of course, when you discover something you were really insecure about, you're actually good at, that made it much more enjoyable. So those ended up being a lot of fun.
Awesome. We have a question from the mashed potato dude, which, by the way, that's a cool username. So shout out to you for that. Were you familiar with the Zelda franchise when you were given the role of Impa?
So first of all, I love mashed potatoes. And that's, you give an Irish girl a potato and she'll teach you 7 ways to cook it. I do love a potato. But because I was around when everybody was playing the first Zelda with the first Nintendo NES. I know I'm dating myself, but I'm old school like that. So I didn't play, but I had a lot of friends who played. Tetris was my jam, and Super Mario, and sometimes Duck Hunt. But I would always end up fighting with the duck. It never really shoot where you wanted it to shoot, and that would kind of drive me insane. But I don't need to shoot ducks. So. Yeah. I did. So yes, I did know of the franchise, but because I didn't play, and Impa is such a kind of pop up here, pop up there kind of character, I was not familiar with Impa. But I had some friends who actually guessed that that was what I was gonna do when I was like, I'm doing a big game, and they're like, oh well, it has to be this because this is coming out. And I was like, oh, it is? That was literally before I even knew what it was. Like, they just figured out this is the biggest game that's coming out, and that has got to be what it is that she's doing. And sure enough, when it finally came out and Impa was heard in the trailer for Breath of the Wild, they found the trailer because they're big fans, so they were waiting, to see all this stuff. And they shared it immediately and tagged me, and I was like, take it down.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking, we're not announcing stuff yet.
Yeah.
But they totally guessed it. And they're still big fans, and they play with their son. And so,
Awesome.
So I was like on the outskirts of Zelda Land, because I did have my Nintendo NES, and I loved it, but I didn't play the game. Thank you, Mashed Potato Dude. Mashed potatoes.
What did he say? He said, he just said mashed potatoes are my favorite food. Can't get enough of them.
Yeah. How about with a little truffle oil in there?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Just a little. Ooh, so good.
Let's see, what did the character Impa voice see? What do you like about the character Impa you voiced for? That's what DJ Rio Lou has said. Again, I'll repeat. What do you like about the character Impa you voiced for?
Now, which one are we talking about, DJ Rio Lou? Because I voice them both. I do old Impa and young Impa. So I guess I could say something that I like about both of them. There she is. So I have to say, the first time I saw old Impa, I loved that she only had a few teeth left. Then you only notice it a few times when she's talking, but I'm pretty sure she's only got like 3 or 4 teeth in there. And
This
I
is
don't
the
know
young
why
one.
that really charming. But I liked how she was like the sage that Link is coming to, and she's just chill and kind of mysterious. And then young Impa, I love that she's just a badass warrior chick, because I've never really gotten to play one of those in a video game. I'm not doing the big Mortal Kombat, the war games and whatnot, because I have a younger sound, and I don't know. I'm just not that good at being super tough, I guess. But she's a badass, so I can do that. So yeah, that's what I like about them. DJ Riolu, thank you for a good question. And who's that little drawing there?
Yeah, I think DJ Real, did you draw that? I think that's a Pokemon, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's cute.
I think he's in Smash too. Pokemon in Smash. Yeah. It's good. It looks good.
Ryan, any other questions you got right now? Do you want to save anything for later, or?
I'll save some stuff for later, but kind of a just for fun one to throw out. So I think for any of us that played the Age of Calamity, the line we're probably most familiar with, since we hear it in battle all the time, is "Steel yourselves, I am ready." Can you actually, and I'm assuming, like, certainly I haven't tried to do it myself, so I'm going to assume a negative, but just out of curiosity and just for fun, can you actually do the hand gesture that she does when she says that?
I keep thinking, it's so funny, because I used to be in drill team, and we did stuff like that all the time. And so I think it's something like this, right? Something, but I do need to learn it.
That is very good.
Because I'm like, oh, and it's so fast, but there's like 7 different, she's like,
yeah,
whatever. But it reminds me of that stuff, or like the old school like raver houser days where they would dance like that.
Yeah.
But I have not learned it. So that was my attempt. That's what you're getting.
I appreciate the attempt. Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
So she says, I kind of always wonder, she says, "Steal yourself." That's how it comes out?
Steal yourself, yes.
Can you say that with excitement? No, you don't have to.
Do you want me to say, like, how she says it? She goes,
if you can.
"Steal yourself, I am ready."
Awesome.
That was awesome.
What is your favorite?
We gotta clip that later.
And
I think she just said,
that was one of those fighting efforts that had to be timed. So it was really important.
Right.
I was like, oh, and the very first interview I did, somebody misquoted it. And I was like, oh, no, we can't get this going because that's not what the words are. So I was like, I'm sorry to correct you, but this is actually what it is. And I'm like, because it's really fast. But once
It
you
is.
right and you hear her say it a million times, then you're like, oh, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was awesome.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm thinking. I wonder if Impa is in Breath of the Wild 2. You probably can't answer that one. You probably can't. It's one of those. I ain't telling you.
That's a
Oh, this
NDA sign.
Can't go there.
For sure.
Ryan.
chat anything about any of that. I know, but I actually started that conversation on my own Twitter page. Like, what do we think? Is she going to be in Breath of the Wild 2? Is it young Impa or old Impa? Because she's like a time traveler. Like, what do we think?
Oh my god, that does sound pretty cool because it's so confusing with the preview or the trailer we've seen and what's happening. So
Yeah,
I could see it going back and forth into both Impa. So I'm just saying that would be so cool. Okay, but you don't tell us nothing. We're just guessing here. Okay, we'll just.
I can't. Yeah, it's all speculation.
Nintendo's watching. Shh.
Yep. They have people everywhere.
yeah.
I know. Shh, we gotta be careful. Let's see, real quick. Let's see if I can spring up something real fast. Because out of all my questions, some of them have already been kind of somewhat answered. But let's see. Let's see. Oh, when you were given the script to Zelda Breath of the Wild, when you first were given it, because some people have said before they're given the script first, they do the acting for what they want for this character, and then they tell them what game it is. Or did you know the game first, then you did the acting? Somehow it's just kind of,
For
Breath of the Wild.
very few video games that I've ever done have I gotten the script before the session at all. So definitely with both Age of Calamity and Breath of the Wild, I did not see any words. And especially Breath of the Wild, did not know what I was doing at all until I walked into the room.
Oh, so this kind of, they want to hear you out, and then they just tell you to do this, say this, and see if you're the pick for it, and you were. So it's...
Yeah. So, and honestly, it was so long ago now. We just had right 4-year anniversary for Breath of the Wild. I don't even remember what I did for the audition. Honestly, I remember thinking that I didn't get it because so many months had passed since I went into the audition for something I didn't even know what it was. That I was like, okay, as an actor too, you just kind of have to go and do it and move on to the next, so you don't get hung on to, oh, did I get it? It'll really screw with your emotions. So I just kind of had to let it go and walk away. And it was months and months later, definitely over 6 months, that I got the call that I booked the job. And I was like, oh, I thought that went away.
Oh, it took that long just to...
for that Breath of the Wild. And then I still didn't know. I had my session already booked, and I was going to be with Jamie Mortellaro, our director, and I saw him at, I think it was a Christmas party, and he's like, oh, I'm so excited to work with you on this giant project. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, blank stare. He's like, oh, you still don't know what it is? And I was like, no, why would I? Nobody tells us anything. So he kind of whispered in my ear, since we were already scheduled, we were going to be working together. But that's all I knew. I still didn't know what the character was. And I, of course, didn't see any of the lines or anything like that. So that all happens in the lab.
See what we got here. Master Potato.
Yeah, so we have a few questions from chat.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I can't actually click and... just so you know, I can't click and bring those up like you're able to.
I got that
screen.
first one, the first question. If you want to go ahead and read that, Ryan.
So, have you ever, from Mashed Potato Dude again, the Mashed Potato Dude, have you ever been approached by random people in public because they knew who you were by your voice performances?
No, and I would be really impressed if they did. I feel like young Impa is really the only character I've done in a bigger game that sounds a lot like me naturally. So, but once we get to chatting about what do you do, la la la, then it comes out. I met some people a couple weeks ago at a wedding. We were all sitting at the same table, and once they realized, they were like, "Oh my god, I listened to your voice so much. We love that game." You know, she was like, "My husband was just wearing a Zelda shirt yesterday." You know, so that's kind of fun when people fanboy and fangirl out, because it's a different kind of thing. People aren't recognizing your face. And because I'm, because I'm more of a character actress, they don't really necessarily recognize my voice either. But she's the one, if anyone was going to, I feel like young Impa is the one that people would recognize, because to me, she sounds a lot like just my regular voice. Yeah. Good question, mashed potato dude. The mashed potato dude. Forget this.
Go ahead. Rio Lou, another question. Let's see. Who's your favorite character from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Age of Calamity? Well, I think it's... Is he asking for both? And Age of Calamity?
Yeah, I guess
it's Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity.
Both.
Overall, I guess this is asking the...
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be that girl and say Impa.
Duh.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good answer.
I also really like Urbosa because girl power. You know, she's just...
God, she's amazing. Yeah, I like the character too, and just overall.
And I like their whole... clan. They're just like, you know, they're very Amazonian to me. So it's all about the girl power.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I answered that. That's like the shortest answer I've done since we started chatting.
Awesome. There was one other question from DJ Riolu, just ahead of the mashed potato dudes. What was your favorite? Sorry, what is your favorite catchphrase from Young Impa? So from the Age of Calamity version.
So I think my favorite one. It might not necessarily be a catchphrase, but I love when she's excuse me, she's chasing Terako around. And she calls him a troublesome teapot. I had a lot of fun with that one.
I remember that.
We did that one a few times, and it was just, you know, because it was like, how angry do we really want her to get? She's more annoyed, really, than angry. Yeah. But at that scene, when she's chasing him around, she's pretty much like ready to smash him. But I think that's cute.
Yeah.
I think that's cute.
Yeah, you had a good... antagonistic, yet there was some positivity to the connection between you and Terako throughout the game.
Right.
I for one enjoyed that.
I was imagining that he was like, you know, my dog.
Yeah, he really is kind of like a pet.
Or the bed or something like that, or one of my cats, like, you know, get out of there.
Let's see. Let me see. That was it. Okay, for that question, right? Okay, so get this guy out of the way real fast. What did I have here? I don't want to get backtracked. Oh yeah, with the pandemic last year, is that when you voiced for Age of Calamity? Did you do it last year during the pandemic?
Yes.
Or, so you were at home doing that, right? I would assume you were.
Actually, I think studios had just started opening safely, like figuring out how to open safely. So I went into the studio, and it was just me. Everyone was masked. Everything was sanitized. So it was just me and the engineer in his room, and then everybody else was in my cans. So the director and 3 or so people from Nintendo, and I think someone from the Help Network, which is who did the casting. So they were all in the ether, and the only other person was the engineer, but we were separated from glass. So okay. I think it may have been about half and half. You know, I know Joe did it from home because he has little children. He was concerned about, you know, the health and safety and stuff like that. but I was happy to get out of the house and do something, go somewhere to do work. So I was like, yes, please. And it was all
feeling that.
Yeah, everyone over at 48 Windows was fantastic with all the, everything being sanitized and all the extra stuff that they had to implement to follow the new COVID safe guidelines.
Okay, another one real quick. I'm trying to get this one out of the way because we're most likely talking about Zelda. What was your experience with, was it the Secret of Mana remake that you had done? Secret of Mana, if I'm saying it right?
Yes, the Secret of Mana. It was the remake, and people didn't like it.
What was your experience with, people didn't like the game?
No, they didn't like it. They didn't like the remake. They were not so amped on that.
How about you, Ryan? Ryan, did you play the game?
Is that the one they had a demo for? Square Enix dropped a demo for that, and it was like fully 3D, but it was a remake of an SNES or an NES game. Yeah. I did try that out. I thought it was fun.
But for your experience, Andy, was it? It probably wasn't as dramatic as playing Zelda or playing Impa for Zelda Breath of the Wild. But what was your experience with that? Was it still a good experience? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was cool. In my own little actor brain, I got excited because I felt like I was a title character because I was the Mana Tree in The Secret of Mana. But I was like, she's kind of at the end. She's also, but I literally was a tree, which was cool. And I got to do this, a really ethereal type of character, which is new for me. When you sound like you're 10, you're not often called for that kind of stuff. But then they also added some, they tweaked it a little bit so she sounded even more, otherworldly, I guess. So yeah, that was fun. I mean, all in all, she was a pretty small character. I think even smaller than old Impa, because old Impa had some monologues and stuff when she's taking me back to the story of everything. She was more like a narrator, where the Mana Tree was more like the reveal in the end on who she really
pretty
was.
Cool
story. Yeah, I thought it was cool too, and I liked a lot of the art that I found, and I was like, "That's me! I'm the tree."
I played the tree.
Just
I think
your first play in 4th grade.
I think what I'm wondering too, also besides Secret of Mana, you also did. I was looking at it. It's called It's going into a Bueno Burrito, and it's working with. Did you work with Bill Rogers on there, or did you? He played.
He may have been. Was he in that same episode?
He was. Yeah, he was in. It was in there, and he was. Well, he played a King of Hyrule, of course, in Zelda.
Of course,
he was in that also. So you never met him or saw him. It was probably just a character that you guys didn't.
One. Yeah, that was another one where what was that? Super Wings, right? That's more for the little kids animated show.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of friends of mine do that show and do episodes for that show. That's through Bang Zoom, but I've never worked with any of them in person because we're also dubbing from the Korean because it's a Korean show. So I think the way that happens, I don't do a ton of animation. I would like to hire me, but I think it's the English-based animated shows that are really the only ones that still do ensemble recording, which would be so fun, but I have yet to be in a situation for that. So I didn't realize he was in that same episode. I've done, I don't know, maybe 8 different episodes for, I did one where I was a bunch of dinosaurs. I didn't actually speak any words.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it sounds
interesting.
Little ones who watch that show, like 4 and 5 years old, but it's really cute.
It's kind of interesting how you voice actors do their roles, but they don't realize, or not everyone realize who else is doing it because, it depends on if you do it together or separate. A lot of it's done separately, maybe these days. But
and lots of times I don't realize that until everyone starts announcing on social media when we can finally announce that our game has dropped. And they were like, oh, hey, you're in that too.
You love singing.
Yes.
From what I've been seeing, and guys, don't forget, for those who are watching, you can find her Andi Gibson's YouTube channel, Instagram channel, and Twitter. You can find all her awesome stuff. You can find her beautiful voice as she sings on YouTube. So how did that come? You had this way earlier before, or something you've been doing recently? I saw.
So that's like the next thing that started after acting. Both of my parents are singers, and they met doing Jesus Christ Superstar together on Broadway back in the 70s.
Wow.
And my mom actually found out that she was pregnant with me when she was on tour singing background for Bob Dylan. So they were in that world. Yeah, they were in the music. Wow. So I grew up around it, and so music was always a part of my life, and it was something that I always enjoyed doing. But a lot of people don't get it now. But when I was little, I was very shy. So when I got this job, or my mom had someone that was looking for a little girl to sing this theme song, she was like, I think Andi can do it. I know I've heard her sing, and I know she can sing it. It's just a matter of whether or not she's going to be too shy to do it. So once I got into the recording booth, like I'd be singing, and my mom would walk by and I'd stop. But once I got in the recording booth, when I was just by myself, no problem. Because it was like, I'm an only child. I grew up an only child. So it was like, cool. I'm cool by myself. I can do my thing, And then my mom was just a blubbering mess behind the glass on the other side, because she had never really heard me sing before. And I was still really, really shy, especially to sing around her, until I was much older. But I got involved in choir and stuff. Let's see, I didn't really get involved in choir until high school. And then in college, did more music and stuff like that. Then I came back from college. My godmother used to write for Motown Records, and we were going to try and get a record deal. So I came back and we recorded a demo, pushing a demo and all that stuff. And, I was getting involved in musical theater and doing musical shows at the theme parks. And went to Japan to sing for Universal. And so that's been kind of constant. I sang on a cruise ship for 6 months. And so that's always kind of, when I don't have the music going, I really miss it. So now that voiceover is my main thing, I've kind of retired from theme park work and theater, really. But I do miss live performing, but I do still record in the studio. My husband's a composer, so I was actually able to sing on the first episode of Hacks that he was singing out for HBO Max. And I've sang on some episodes for Duncanville, which is Amy Poehler's, thing on Fox. Working on that with his composer. So that's nice, to get called in. His composer are like, do you know anybody? Do you know any females that can sing? Maybe, joking, because they know that I can sing and they can just call me in. So it makes everybody's life easier.
Would you like to go back out and sing live again?
I don't know. It's a different beast. I like, when I get nervous, I forget the words. So I love karaoke for that reason, because you have the words right in front of you. And I'm so out of practice, I would be a little nervous about that. But the thing that's nice about being in the studio is you can also have your words right in front of you. But, the recording booth is always kind of my first home, because that's where I started when I was so young. And then I've got a composer friend who keeps bringing me back in, and he was the composer for Thundercats Roar. So that's how I got to do that.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. You did the theme song, didn't you?
Yeah, I did the theme song.
Cool.
Really rocking,
Yeah, I was hearing that today.
and then I got to do a couple episodes. Unfortunately, that didn't last past season 1, but he's got other things in the mix, and so I know whenever he can hire us, he'll give me a ring because we work together really well. He's become a good friend. So yeah, I love it, and it's always fun to be like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's get in. Let's sing something.
So, the mashed potato dude. See you later, man. He says, I have to go. The stream has been awesome. Thank you for answering my question.
Absolutely. You enjoy those mashed potatoes.
I forgot to say there also in the description is your TikTok. I forgot to say that. So you have a lot of all the goodies that we provided so they can follow you and chase you down and click on you, all your videos.
With the fans, and I look at some of you guys and some of my other classmates and stuff, and the amount of followers is absolutely insane. And I'm like trying to catch up. So help me out here, guys. Follow, retweet, follow Fridays and all that jazz, because I'm really enjoying interacting with the fans. I think I might just have a lot of bots because I don't have a lot of people that interact. So I need more real people followers.
What was gonna? Oh, Shaq. Oh, tell me. We did talk about Shaq Fu, right?
A little bit, yeah.
So how was? Okay, yeah, you did kind of explain it. I think I'll. Did you meet Shaq? I'm kidding.
I did not. No, I did not meet Shaq because I recorded from home. Shaq did record with a friend of mine who kind of helped voice coach him on that project, and he said he was really nice.
I keep trying to get out of my head, but I heard the game. They keep saying the game is good. I'm gonna have to try it out so I can catch up to the baddies.
It's fun. It's definitely different. That's for sure. And he wanted to redeem himself from the first game, which ended up being a flop. And I think
yeah.
I think he did, but the delay in dropping it, and the hype kind of died down, where it didn't end up being as popular as I think we all would, because of that. Timing and all that stuff is so important, because then people forget. Now in the social media age, we don't have attention spans anymore. So
it's true.
Something everyone forgets about it.
DJ Rio, you said you had 2 more questions? Please go ahead. We'll be ending in about 10 minutes or so. If you got those questions, please throw them down again in case we missed them at all. In the meantime, Brian, do you have something to any other questions?
Yeah. So. So kind of like going back to the video game voice acting. So you talked about you had awareness of the Zelda franchise, and you played some Duck Hunt, some Mario Brothers, and Tetris when you were young. And honestly, my family gatherings were very much the same. So I don't think you're dating yourself as much as you might think. But has gaming been something that you kept up with? So between kind of like those experiences growing up and then getting the opportunity to voice a fan favorite character, honestly, in a major game series, have you had gameplay experiences? Is it something that you kept up with, kind of as like a social thing, or a thing that you enjoy on the side, kind of thing? Or
I have to be honest, and you guys don't hate me for this,
we won't.
but I think I kind of stopped at 14. That's when I was getting real serious into dance, and so that's kind of what all my time was going. I was a competitive dancer on teams, and a competitive soloist, and a high kick champion. Yes.
Awesome.
And so spent a lot of time doing that, and then I started coaching and choreographing teams myself. Then went away to college and was doing theater, and I was away from home, and it just kind of fell off, and it didn't come back into video games in general. Didn't really come back into my life until I started doing voice acting again. So
And
we have a system. We don't have, we don't have a system here. There was actually 2 years I didn't even have a television.
oh
So,
wow,
just trying to keep the home as an unplugged zone as much as we can nowadays,
yeah,
But
that's admirable.
yeah, and I have friends that play, and of course, I keep in touch with the fans on when things are dropping and where I can find all my cutscenes and everything. So I keep aware of that. But Bill Rogers loves to yell at me that he's like, "You have to play the game," and I'm like, "I don't have the console."
Yeah,
But I love it, and I love that the fans really love it, and it's so immersive now compared to what it used to be with just little talking bubbles, and how much the fans are appreciating our work, because it's the first time, especially in the Zelda franchise, that these characters have voices, and that's just epic.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, so you were reading DJ Riolu's question.
Yeah, I think you kind of answered it in a way, but if you
So his is kind of related to it.
I knew of it, right? But I was playing the other games. That wasn't one that I ever really got. And man, Tetris, I would go crazy on Tetris.
Yeah.
Just hours and hours and hours. And I recently just got Tetris on my phone, and it is not the same. It is not.
No, it really is not. No, yeah.
It's kind of cheats. Like, it shows you the shadow of where you're supposed to put the block. I'm like, that's cheating. You're just taking out the fun part of where I feel like I'm intelligent.
He's been staring. He's been staring at the statue behind you. He asked that question.
A statue. It is just a piece of art. I wish it was. Actually, for those of you guys that are interested, because I'm always bragging on my husband, he did work on the music team for The Queen's Gambit, if any of you have seen that. And the music team did get nominated for an Emmy just a couple days ago, so they're all kind of excited about that. And I guess the Emmys are happening. I don't know if we'll be able to go or be invited, but I'm like, we could go to some after parties maybe. Like, you're part of the music team.
Oh, you're always I see you're always posting on Instagram. Your husband has that long hair.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
I wish I had his hair.
Yeah. Everybody's hearing the COVID grow out, right? So he's getting to the point now where he's like, I don't know if I can keep this up. And I'm like, now you understand.
Well, if he wants to cut his hair, he can give me some. Maybe I can.
That's how my cousin is. And every time he's like, "Oh, just toss it around for me. Really, just run your fingers through it." Because my cousin's been bald since he was 20, so he's just like so jealous. So yeah, he's having fun with it for a while at least. But he's like, "How do I get it to do what I want it to do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, welcome."
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
That's cool. You have some really nice, lovely photos, and I like watching you guys. How together, and you know, always very nice to see. Very happy couple. So,
Thank you. We're
nice to learn more.
We had now our first and second wedding anniversary during the pandemic, so we didn't really get to do anything. Hopefully, our third anniversary we'll be able to.
You make up for it, yeah. You'll make up for it.
An actual fancy date or something.
He's gonna be this DJ Rios. It's gonna keeps the hair long. He's gonna be Sephiroth from Final Fantasy series. He's got that. Sephiroth's got that long hair that goes like past his by his legs.
I don't know that he's gonna last that long. Honestly, it's like shoulder length now, and he's already like
It's cool. I like it.
Clip, and so it's turning in. I've been calling him Samurai because he's throwing it like half up just to get it out of his face. Because a lot of people don't realize your hair gets longer when it's heavy because it's thick. It falls down in your face, so then you're eating it. Every time you eat a meal, you have to tie it back, and all these little
ponytail.
He's not ponytail ready. It's like the top that's
the kind of new for him.
So I'm like, just go out in public like that, please.
Let's see, Ryan. Anything else from you, Ryan?
No, I think we covered everything that I had wanted to add. Yeah, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your stories with us.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
and
Thank you guys for having me.
is your kitty cat still on right next to you, protecting
Oh,
you?
no, you know what? They're actually wrestling down here now. Let me see if I can get you this show that's going
Hey, there you are. They're playing. Yeah, they're playing.
on. Yes, they have a love-hate relationship, those two.
It's nice. They're very cute. You said your TikTok has a lot of you said singing to your animals or.
Yeah, it's just something I've always done, just making up stupid little impromptu songs. And then I decided that if I was going to have a TikTok, I needed to put videos on there. So I started putting videos of that. And then, of course, when I have videos of my work and stuff, I'll throw that up there too. But it's like I have a friend who's like, oh my gosh, my 4-year-old daughter loves this song. She's watched your video 75 times today. Singing about
75 times.
salmon treat or something. You know what I mean? Just random. I'm a loony. What are you going to say? I mean, that's just it. If you can't laugh at yourself, people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you. I'll have 2 final questions, and then from there we'll end the stream. Let's see. Do you have any advice for inspiring voice actors?
So the first thing, I do coach from time to time, and all that info is on my website for anybody that's interested in coaching. And I have my links to all my stuff on my website too, and autographs and all that jazz, AndiGibson.com. But I do coach, and the first thing I always say that a lot of people don't realize is that voiceover is acting. It's not just talking, and it's not just having a cool voice. You have to have the acting tools and the acting background to really make something of yourself in this business, because it is saturated. There are a lot of people that want to do voiceover, and a lot of people who don't even necessarily have cool voices. You know what I mean? Commercials, everyday people, but you still have to know what to do with it, right? And if you don't start with acting, you're going to have a very tough road to climb. So the first piece of advice I would give to anybody that wants to get into voiceover is start with an acting class.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Very nice.
And Kiki came. He's now on the table giving some love and attention.
Yay! Oh, wait. Keep him there.
This is Dean. He's our pandemic rescue. He just
Awesome.
turned 1. When did you turn 1, buddy? March. He was 1 year old. He just got all his
good.
yesterday. Hi. Say hi to the people. Hi. No, now he's going to try and eat my computer instead. Well, yeah, this is good fun. Did you say you had one more question?
Yes. And the last final question. Out of everything you've done, singing, voice acting, or so, or especially in your voice acting, have you have any of your proudest moment that you created off of it? Maybe overall, anything major, or if you had a few for your ultimate in your career so far. What are you most proud of?
You know, I have to say, because it was coming full circle from that time when I was 7 years old in the studio, and I was going to sing a theme song for a cartoon, and it never happened. Singing the theme song for Thundercats Roar, also because the original Thundercats was something from my childhood.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty epic. That's a pretty cool thing for me, and especially the way it finally turned out. Like I was just, and people don't realize I really did sing it that high, and I really did.
Yes,
sing it.
I was like, awesome. Oh man, she was totally into that. You know, just yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, when they like broadcast to, or you know, they were sending it to other countries that had to dub it in other countries, and they got back to the composer and they were like, okay, I need to know what the original tempo was because you obviously sped this up, and I'm going to need the original key because you obviously raised it. And he said, no, she really sings that high and that fast.
I was like, oh man, I was like, this is good.
Really to the wall, yeah. But he wrote a great theme song So that was a lot of fun because it was like, whoa, 30 something years later, that finally happened.
Really cool to have that experience. Yeah, definitely growing up with Thundercats, and we even had I think it was it late last year? We had Larry King, the voice of Lionel. We had him on the podcast. It was he did the his chant, his main chant. It was like blew us away. So it's nice to know that you got a piece of that history even in Thundercats Roar. It had its first season. It was still a good show. Nothing bad with it. It was great.
I thought the diehard Thundercats fans were not having it, but he wasn't. The creator wasn't trying to make it the same. He was doing his own thing as an homage, and I thought it was funny. But we don't make the decisions. One day, when we rule the world.
I know, right? All right, we're good, Ryan, and I'm sure we're good in the chat. I wanted to say thank you very much. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us tonight, being co-host. I want to thank Andi Gibson for the opportunity that it is a tremendous opportunity to be with you, to have your presence and talk about some history in Zelda and into the games, but to go more about Impa, and it is really cool. I like the fact that it's like we're with you on that, and we hope that you have more Impa coming. I don't but yeah. We're rooting for you, and let's see what the future holds, and I'm sure you got a lot of great things coming for you. So other than that, it's a great experience, and we appreciate you so much for your great talents.
Thank you guys so much. It's very, very sweet. I appreciate that, and love to the fans, the Mashed Potato Dude, DJ Riolu for coming and joining us. And all the great questions. This is fun, and thank you so much for having me.
All right, and thank you guys in the chat for joining us. Don't forget, you can find all of Andi Gibson's information from her AndiGibson.com to TikTok to Twitter to Instagram. What was the other one?
Facebook.
YouTube.
Okay, it's all YouTube. It's all there. Find it all there in the description.
Does anybody use Facebook anymore? I know.
I do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna head off with the short outro. It's pretty much the same thing from the intro, meaning just the and afterwards, if you want to stay on, hold on for a second so we can say bye to you, and I'll see you guys later. Take care, guys.
Okay, bye everyone.
With the knight who seals the darkness, the 4 champions, and you, of course, I'm positive we can turn back the... Would you stop making a nuisance of yourself? Unlike you, the princess is extremely busy. Hey! Oh, I see. Our friend believes itself to be a knight as well, in service of the princess. Princess Zelda. Why not? Let's go take a break somewhere. I've gotten really... suddenly I'm really hungry. We're all right because of you, Princess. Your keen senses saved us.
Well, really, it was thanks to your strength.
Now you listen to me.
Okay.
You said that you are the only one who can't live up to your potential. But that's completely untrue. I mean, you saved all of us just now. All of your effort, your research, is not in vain, Princess. Steel yourself. I am ready. It's time.
Just like hanging with a few of your friends, talking games, cartoons, and all the trends. From voice actors to game masters, they got guests to talk about matters of fun. So run and tune into them. They can't be outdone, yeah, they number one. It's the